Hi there, Sandra here from the Schwowin's Nest. I'm so glad you stopped by. I'm going to use these charcuterie boards that I picked up at the dollar store. They were $4 each. They're about an inch thick and they're made out of bamboo. I love these. I love the shape of them. I think they're fantastic as home decor. So I am going to be showing you three different ways to style them. This first one I am dry brushing with a paint brush that has already been loaded with a bunch of paint. When I'm painting white things, I usually just put the paintbrush in a plastic bag. Actually, right now I'm using plastic gloves and I have a couple of different paintbrushes in each finger of the glove. And then I know I can just go grab that. I don't have to keep washing it over and over again. So I'm going to go ahead and give this some dry brushing until I feel that I have enough of the color on there. My idea for this one is to create a little crate that can hold flowers. Now, I didn't have a crate big enough that I could just add on, so I decided to make one out of these paint stir sticks. I just measured the bottom of the cutting board and then I measured how far out I wanted the sides to be. And I used my nail gun in my stapler to attach those wood pieces. The rest of the pieces, I'm going to use hot glue to stick them together. I'm going to dry brush this little crate the same way I did the board. Using my Cricut Joy, I'm going to put on Home Sweet Home, and I've got this beautiful cursive lettering for the word sweet, and the home is just going to be some simple uppercase letters. I'm going to show you three different ways of applying writing or images to the boards. So this is the first way, and it's using your Cricut. I've got the decals stuck on and now I'm just going to go over them very lightly using the same brush that's still loaded with that white paint just to give them more of a distressed look. I'm going to add some florals into the crate, so I've just cut up a couple pieces of floral foam. This is from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to glue those pieces right inside the crate. Then I'm going to use some dollar store greenery like this boxwood and some lavender. And I'm just going to place the greenery where I think it looks good. I'd like to work in odd numbers, so 3 throughout the back and then maybe 3 of the lavender. So it just looks more cohesive, but I also want it to look a little natural. I finish it off by wrapping some jute twine a few times around the handle and just tied it with a simple knot. This second board is for those of you who love dark tones of wood. I do too. I am taking a chip brush that has some dried paint on it. I like that because then it gives it more of a grain texture like you can see here. So I'm just dipping it into the paint and I'm doing a dry brush technique, but I'm going to layer it until I get the look that I want. I want a lot of that yellowy golden wood to not show. So I will be going quite heavy. Now that I have the brown, the color that I want, I'm going over with some black and again, just very lightly, I'm going to layer this as well, but I just wanted to bring out a little bit more of the deeper tones of wood. And I forgot to mention that the brown paint that I used was Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the color Cocoa Bean. I'd like to share with you that today's video is part of a monthly challenge hosted by Meadowhill Home and DIY. If you have not seen this channel, you've got to go take a look. She does some beautiful farmhouse decor. She's done some Valentine's tours of her home. It's just absolutely beautiful. You're not going to want to miss out. I'm going to use this sweet little bird stencil that I found on Pixabay. I downloaded it, added it into my Cricut Joy Design Space app, and cut it out using plastic poster board. So this is how I create stencils, and then I want to be able to use them more often because I do tend to sell a lot of these pieces. So I want to be able to use the stencil over and over. To apply the paint, I am using a makeup sponge that I have wedged in a clothespin. Now, this is one of the old-fashioned clothespins that I just had in my stash from a project that I didn't need, but you could definitely use just a regular clothespin. It allows you to have a handle. It is an amazing tip that I learned from Jamie over at Simple Roots, Simple Living. My goodness, it makes life so much easier when you're stenciling. You don't get all sorts of paint on your fingers, although I do always get paint on my fingers anyway, but it really helps to give you a little bit more control too. This is a second way of adding images and text to your projects. You could use an alphabet stencil for the lettering, and of course, you could buy all sorts of different types of stencils. They're readily available at the Dollar Tree and Joann Fabrics, Michaels, you name it, you can find stencils. What I'm doing now is just going with a chalk marker and I'm going to write the words to our nest underneath, and then I'm going to put the word welcome on the top. And I'm just following along the free printable that I have here. And this is how it will look when you download it. I'll have the link down in my description box. I decided to take the same chalk marker and outline everything. It just had a little bit of bleeding from the stencil. And then I also decided just to color it in and make it look a little bit deeper, more of the white color. And this is also something that you can do. You can just trace the stencil on and then fill it in with your favorite marker or paint. You don't have to use the makeup sponge to do it. There's a bunch of different ways that you can transfer lettering and images, and you just need to find the way that works best for you. Using the same chip brush and just a little bit of black paint, I'm going over the lettering very lightly just to give it more of a distressed look, and so it has some streaks in it like the wood is peeking through the stencil. I wanted to add some florals into this sign as well, but instead of creating a box, this time I'm just going to take this vine that has these delicate little white flowers and I'm going to glue it in a circle and just glue the wreath right onto the sign. I think this just makes it look finished and has a beautiful spring look to it. I'll have the link to the playlist pinned to the top of my comments. Make sure you click it and check out what everyone else has done. And again, for the final touch, I'm taking some jute twine, wrapping it around a few times, and then tying it off with a bow. I think I'm liking this look too. For this last project, I am using some of this clear coat, which will seal out any of the yellow undertone. As I was painting the back and it was starting to dry, I saw the yellow coming through. So this is a super product to use. It doesn't have to be satin. That's just what was at the store at the time when I went. A flat would probably be better, but it does seal in any wood pieces and prevents any staining from coming through. If you notice the yellow coming through after you've done a coat of paint like I have, you can still put the clear coat right on top. Now I'm going to take this mason jar that I have. I used to do a ton of canning, so I've probably got about 30 or 40 multiple size mason jars down in my basement. I grabbed this one because it is more square than the normal ones, and I thought that would probably work better for what I want to do with it. I decided to try out a different type of chalk paint. So this is a white latex paint and I'm using a chalk medium in with it and it's from BB Frosh. I'll have their website linked down in my description box. And I wanted to give it a try. I saw another DIYer use this and I thought, you know what? It doesn't hurt to try something different. It didn't save me any money, but it is a beautiful medium to work with. I just love the texture of it. It goes on super smooth, especially on glass and slick surfaces. This last way of transferring is so nice, but you got to do it on anything that's white. You don't want to put a white tissue paper on top of something that's brown because then you'll get sort of a cloudy look. What I did here was create this printable on my Cricut, and I will have it linked down in my description box as usual. And then you just put the piece of tissue paper right on top of your printer paper. You tape it down and then run it through the printer. I'm cutting it as close to the image as I can, and then I'm going to use Mod Podge to apply it. It is amazing. The tissue paper just blends right in with the paint, and you don't even notice any edges. I'm using another mason jar just to mark out where I need my holes to be. The one that I painted is still drying, so I didn't want to muck that one up. Using a drill bit that is a little bit bigger than the wire I want to use to pull through, I'm going to go ahead and just drill all the way through to the back of the board. Using the same chip brush and some black paint, I'm going to go ahead and distress this. I like to kind of flick it around the edges as you see me doing here. And then I'm also going to just drag the brush lightly up and down and across the label as well. Using some coarse grit sandpaper, I'm going to go over the lettering and the design on the front of the mason jar just to make it look more distressed and so the letters pop out more. I'm going to wrap the neck of the mason jar with some twine, and I think I go around fairly heavily with that. I start with a little bit of hot glue on the back of the mason jar and then just wrap it around until I think it looks good. Then I'll just hot glue it to the back again. Now it's time to use some of this taped wire that I have. I think I got this at Michael's or I may have gotten it at the dollar store. I'm not sure. I've had it for a really long time, but this is perfect because it's the same color as the twine and I'm able to just push it right through to the back and then fold it over, and that holds the mason jar super tight. I don't have to worry about it falling off. It just was really snug. The next thing I did was just add a little bit of hot glue underneath the mason jar to hold it straight. This last one is definitely classic farmhouse decor. Thank you so much for watching my video. I really appreciate your support. Don't forget to go check out that playlist. It will be in my comments and as well in my community. You're going to want to see what everyone else has created for Farmhouse Friday. If you're new to my channel, I'd love for you to stick around. Hit that subscribe button. Those two black arrows will show you exactly where to click. Bye for now.